Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Sagittarius September 2022 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel The Saint James. For those of you who are stopping by for the first time, and for the subscribers, well, you know how much I love to see you, really do. And you know, subscribers, don't you, that there are no advertisements which break into the video presentation here, so you get to enjoy the video experience uninterrupted. And speaking of experience, I've had the great pleasure of doing a number of one-on-one personal clairvoyant readings with Sagittarians from different parts of the world in the course of the last month. And if you might be interested in having a one-on-one experience with me, just check out the information that's in the description box below. Now, let's draw 5 cards, shall we, and see what there is in store. Now, I have no idea what this deck is called. My son and daughter were one Sunday afternoon out in search of cocktails and came across a flea market. And they found this. Now, it had no box, it had no papers, it was tied up with string. Come here, you. It was tied up with string, but the good thing is that all the cards are present. So it can operate as a great tarot deck. And I personally think it gives some good readings. Now, it's got some interesting aspects to it, this one. I haven't seen it around anywhere. I suspect it's probably about 40 years old. I've never seen it, anyone using it anywhere. Not that I really spend much time looking at readings, I have to admit, but sometimes if people are talking about new decks or something like that, I like to come in and do that. Or if there's a small channel, I like to watch the reading on what's going on. Now let's draw 5 cards for you, shall we? Here is this first one, and that popped out there, and that is the 10 of Stones. Now, there's a Chinese hexagram or pictogram that's there, I Ching, and the I Ching, you've jumped out, whoever you are. The I Ching, of course, has a particular meaning. It just so happens that I know about Chinese I Ching, so I'll be able to share the meaning of that for you in this card in just a second when we get to it. This is the Osiris, the Son of Swords in the south. So there's quite interesting things coming on here. This has come out Brahma. Oh, so we've gone from Egypt to South Asia and the subcontinent. The father of wands in the east, Brahma. Let's have a look. Looks like he's got 3 heads there. Never see much devotion to Brahma in the Indian culture, do you? It all seems to go to Vishnu, Shiva, and there's the 5 of Cups with a Chinese pictogram, a different one to the one before, as you would expect. Yeah, the devotion seems to be to Shiva and to Vishnu mainly, and there is alchemy. And this is interesting. This has got a Viking letter on it, a rune, and it's from the Elder Futhark alphabet. And it also has a Hebrew letter on it, very prominently displayed, both those things. So we'll have to talk about them. So why don't we get into it then? Come, sit down here next to me. We'll have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together while I do the reading for you. Now, this card of Alchemy is such a great card for you, Sagittarius, that I'm going to deal with it first. It also happens to be Major Arcana, and so we should deal with it. Now, I also notice here that there is a Viking letter and an ancient Hebrew biblical letter that's there as well. Number 14, very auspicious for you during this month. You can see your sign down here, that of Sagittarius. Let's have a look at the picture, and then let me see what I can draw from these letters that are here as well. Now, just looking at it here, the diagonal line, you can see how there's a diagonal which runs up like that. Well, that diagonal, I think, divides the card between blue and red, water and fire. Now, the Grail appears twice, red in this blue section and blue in this red section, providing an interchange of energy. Now, on the right, a circle contains the sun and the moon. Can you see them there? Now, the red background that's there is what I would say pitted rock. Look, this is quite an abstract painting, I think you would agree. And so you may take from it something which is different that I'm taking from it. But this is how I see it anyway, although you're free to interpret it as you would. I might just assist you or give you some pointers. Now, I've mentioned that this red side is pitted, and that's a symbol of age. The blue side, however, if you look at that, well, I think that is ageless light, a quality of spirit. Now, this devil face that appears there, that inhabits the cloud, signifying sexual life energy. And on the other side, here in the red, there is the counterpart, which is the angel. She is the devil, and she is also over here, the angel. Now, below the angel and the devil is what I see here as a clown. Do you see? Can you make that out? And a skull, which is down there. And they, I think, refer to life and death. Turning now to this Viking rune image here, that's known as Laguz. This is feminine energy, I would call it. And don't be concerned if you're a man, because you have feminine principles within you, just as females have male principles within them as well. But this is the feminine energy of intuitive knowledge. Now, this is advising you to follow your intuitions. And I have to say, it may well be that you find that you have some quite high psychic ability during this time. It may mean, well, I think it does mean, that you are during this period being guided or protected by higher forces, but it's probably unlikely that you are aware of them. Nevertheless, this is the case. I think you could also find that you have a prophetic dream. Now, in relationships, this can represent the woman. Because this is turned up, if you are a woman, you will, or if you, in a same-sex relationship, take what I might generally refer to the bottom role in the top-bottom type of relationship, but I don't mean any disrespect by that. You'll find that by use of your intuition and imagination, you are capable of dealing with any problems that may arise. Now, if you are a man, and in general, the top in a same-sex relationship, it represents a strong and supportive female or bottom in your life. Now, I think this also represents good memory and success in learning for you. It shows use of your imagination. Things will go your way. It also indicates, I think, a time of relaxing, cleansing, and reevaluating your life. And I think it means also that others will be sympathetic, understanding, and probably quite helpful to you. Now, if I look at that Hebrew letter, and it's the shape of the letter that's of importance to me, you can see how there's sort of a circular shape to it. It's almost like an off-centered circle in a way. This is the symbol of support, protection again for you, and memory as well. It means to lean upon, support, uphold. Now, the outside of this perimeter, as you see here, that denotes the creator, and the interior of this form denotes the creation, who the creator constantly supports, upholds, and protects. The general providence of the Creator, as you would know because you have an interest in religion and spirituality. The Creator surrounds and sustains all of existence, even though we might perceive ourselves as being separate. This form, if you like, is the container of all forms. Now, I think because I see that circular nature there, that circular image there, I think that this also teaches you circular thinking. It tells you to think for the good of the whole, not just yourself. An ability, actually, which comes from your soul. And to be inclusive of everything and everybody. It is the principle that wisdom is not contained in just one vessel, in just one person, but is distributed in all beings. Now, I think that this also says that in order to know your Creator, you have to get out of your limited self, out of what you know and the limitations of the physical, so you can get in touch with your essential inner self. You must empty yourself in order to be filled. I think this is also saying that once you have learned to clean yourself of all the negatives and distortions, controlled your ego, found true humility, and learned to listen to the inner voice of your soul, that you are automatically guarded, supported, and helped. Miracles should be happening for you, or a miracle is coming about for you during this time, so watch out for it. Well, I want to go to the opposite end of that diagonal. That's such a positive energy fuel. A lot of Sagittarius over this as well, but we'll get to that in just a second. Because I want to look at this card out of interest's sake, because it has a Chinese I Ching, or hexagram, that's there in the middle. Now, as I say, this is quite abstract. There's not a lot I can get from the... Well, actually, when I say there's not a lot I can get from the painting, we shall see. At first glance, though, it seems to me that in a deep valley, water rushes forth, and above the cleft of a rock, there is the bright sky. So things are really moving forward for you now. Now, what can we get from the hexagram? Now, hexagram is because it has 6, means 6, and there are 6 lines. Hexagrams are read from the bottom through to the top. Now, the broken line is yin, which represents the female principle. The unbroken line is yang, which represents the male principle. Now, these hexagrams can be read either as couplets, that is 2 lines at a time, or in triplets, 3 at a time, or 6, as I do. And sometimes I go and delve into maybe a couplet to flesh it out if I need to. But here it is, I'm reading it as a 6-line hexagram. And in this case, it means it is the Chinese word of jing, which, roughly speaking, translates as the well. And the action that's in here for you now is to inspire and to be inspired. Now, there is a hidden influence here of opposition and accommodation, and also about discernment. That is sorting things out, really pulling things apart. Now, your vision, you will remember, will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks within awakes. Now, as I call this the well, this is associated with the reservoir of unconscious activity, like fear and inspiration. It can also symbolize elements of life that do not change. Now, the town may be changed, but the well cannot be changed. Now, I think that this symbol here can be a representation of complex situations that you maybe can't get to the bottom of immediately and can only be understood over time. Now, the beginning of any relationship opens a depth of feeling in a way that can be overwhelming and requires time to allow the situation to reveal itself. Now, in work, this energy shows you that you possess the deep inner resources to meet the challenge. Now, I mentioned a hidden influence here of opposition and accommodation, and I think that this asks you to accommodate the needs of others by nourishing them. Now, it may be that you have previously had to discern things, use your mind to comprehend events, but now you are being asked to reach deeper within your reservoir of spirit to activate intuition. Observing the guidance presented by your dreams can reveal much about your life path during this time. Now, the object of your inquiry is something that is going on, it is enduring and not easily changed. It can suggest, I think, a relationship that remains vague and undefined. I think you'll know what I mean by that for you. And over time, it can appear to be changing or moving forward, yet always seems to come back to the same issues. Now, when people are learning from each other under the influence of this energy, the connection goes deep and can give definition to the spirit. However, it is important to realize that all relationships require that the life-sustaining waters are kept clear. Now, this can mean that communication needs to be honest and open so that assumptions and misunderstandings do not dilute the purity of interaction. The situation may be transforming fear by leading you towards the vulnerability required for intimacy. Now, whether the message here is about the enormous creative gifts at your disposal at this time, or the abundance of feeling associated with the situation that is at hand, this energy of the well promises, I think there is some type of inner journey that's going to lead to sustenance, as inexhaustible nourishment from the deep source of the psyche. The well can be an initiation into intimacy and to authentic expression. Now, let's move along a bit so we don't run out of time. Let's have a look at this central energy of Brahma here. A lot of Sagittarius over this, but let's look at the image for a moment, shall we? Because that's half the fun of it, isn't it, really? It's looking at the imagery that's here on the cards. Well, this is Brahma. Now, in the Hindu Trinity, he is the creator of the Trinity of God in Hinduism. He's the creator. Vishnu, of course, is the preserver, and Shiva is the destroyer and the rebuilder. He has 4 arms representing power beyond human limitations. Now, his 4 faces, they really blend together, don't they? Now, the cord on his chest that you can see there, well, I think that combined with the white cloth, which is here, signify the priestly class in the Hindu system. Now, a scroll, which is in that hand there, that is of religious laws. In fact, Brahma is very much associated with the Vedas. Now there is a cup down here which holds milk, and there is a long spoon being used by Brahma to stir milk into the sacred fire. Now, as I say, a lot of Sagittarius around here. You might also have things to do with Scorpio, I think, at this time. But this is a period in which you're going to be active, generous, probably quite impetuous, actually. You may have a degree of pride about you. You'll be very quick about how you do things, very swift. But that you might take off and do things which are not predictable. And there's a degree of fierceness associated with you. Now, there could well be quite unsettling, perilous, or revolutionary qualities contained in events around you during this time. But you should be cool, collected, resolute, and energetic, and be careful of the actions that you take. Don't do anything that hasn't been well thought out, but go forward with an alert confidence in your ability. This is a time when you will be energetic and ambitious, quite adventurous, very determined, I think. And I have to say that you will be very charming and magnetic, and people are going to find you very sexually attractive. So make of that what you will. But you are building things here as well, building things. The energy created by increased perception is set free, and now it manifests. It is unstoppable, and even difficult situations will move in a constructive direction. Be awake, ready for people or situations which could produce dynamic changes in your consciousness. Be grateful for this gift from existence. Receive it, but don't cling to it. Could also be journeys or traveling here. Maybe some people thinking of changing countries, or changing jobs. People thinking about changing where they live, maybe even as far as changing countries. But ask yourself this: does your present situation allow your energies to develop and unfold fully? And if not, what must be removed or changed? Seek out situations and opportunities that challenge you. Engage them with all of your energy, and say this to yourself: every challenge which arises helps me grow. Every storm strengthens my roots. Well, where shall we go to next? I think we'll go down here because I feel like doing another I Ching. They're quite interesting, aren't they? Now, here's a massively abstract painting, I suppose. Let's have a look at it, shall we? Now, what can we see here? Well, looks like brown, bare rocks kind of suggest unfulfilled hopes. The water is a thin stream. See this thin stream of water that's coming through here, almost imperceptible. Thinking of disappointment. A single cup catches the water. And so the experience has not been wasted at all. Here we have another I Ching that's down here. It's all masculine except on the fourth line, 1, 2, 3, 4, this 1 weak yin line holding place among the strong yang lines. This is Xiao Chu, or what might roughly be translated as small restraint. Now, the hidden influence around here is to yield, and the underlying cause is to align. The universe is full of magical things, patiently waiting for your wits to grow sharper. Now, as I say, because of the 1 weak yin line holding the fourth place among the yang lines, we see the idea of how something small or weak can tame the powerful. Now, yin is the gentle influence operating that magnetizes the powerful yang. The feminine side of courtship shows how a strong element can be held in check through gentle submissiveness. Now, in what I call this small restraint, power is accumulated by gently withholding its expression. We see this in the coming soon advertising that creates anticipation, and also in the mating dance of courtship. Now, at the same time, weakness and insecurity within the psyche can become powerful because it is repressed. Anything locked in a vacuum can grow out of proportion to what it is. Ideas of failure can stunt even the most obvious talents. Now, opposition, as I say, is a hidden influence that I feel here. And it is the mirror of how you meet your shadow or repressed qualities of yourself in another. Now, you think someone is the enemy when they have come to set you free from self-imposed restrictions. Now, after waking from periods of enthusiasm or possible illusion, you discover how nightmares actually are a positive sign that power has begun to stir in your psyche. There is an inherent authenticity within you because you are born with it. You need only peel away the layers of fear that keep you from expressing it. Now, in either case, you'll need to approach the object of your inquiry with gentle submissiveness to exercise, discover, or release your power. Defensiveness ensures that the negative outcome is relentless. Submissiveness always opens new doors for success. So simply surrender to the way. And then finally, we have Osiris. Osiris is the god of in the ancient Egyptian times, the god of the afterlife, also the god of regeneration, fertility, and agriculture. Normally depicted with a greenish skin. He also is depicted as a mummified lower half. The first depiction really of mummification, he holds his kingly wand here and a flail, and this headdress that he wears is peculiar and particular to Osiris. These feathers, which are ostrich feathers, you can tell that because of the ways that are there. Now, I take these to be the eyes of Horus, his son, who he had with the goddess Isis. The eye of Horus, I suppose you can understand. Nevertheless, what does this mean? Well, this is a time, incidentally, I'm getting a lot of Aquarius and Capricorn around here. They might be important to you. Now, this is a time, I think, when you'll be intellectual, probably full of ideas and plans, very clever, but you've got to remain stable. Now, you might find that you are domineering, elusive, and be careful about becoming too impressionable also. A lot of creative thinking, cutting through entanglements, becoming free of limited ideas and models, and you'll have a clear perception about things. As I say, though, what you need to guard about is not being taken in any direction, but rather deciding to go in a direction. You'll have ideas almost tripping over themselves. Lots of air. He's the airy part of air, so lots of ideas tripping one over the other. The thing to do is and you may find that you move from idea to idea and not caring anything about that, because any idea that you come up with is just as good as the last one. But what you need to do is to make things tangible. You might need to slow down and analyze your thought to see if something practical can be gained from them. Free yourself from whatever limits your mind and spirit. Be sure you express your ideas and plans in ways that you think others will understand. Your thinking may well be well ahead of its time, but you can adjust to make your vision workable in the present without sacrificing anything. Say this to yourself: my creative possibilities have no limits, but they need to be grounded. Good job. I have to tell you that I thought that was a really interesting reading for you then. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did providing it to you. This is going to be a good month for you. I can see it here, and that's what it says for you now, so enjoy yourself. And of course, I'll then see you next month. And remember this though, until the next time I see you, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.